So if you guys will notice, anytime I'm talking about the 2020 election and I talk about Donald Trump, I'll always say it's an election that he knew he lost. If I say Donald Trump tried to overturn the election, I always follow it up by saying he tried to overturn an election that he knew he lost. And I say that because I truly believe that from day one, from the minute it happened, I think he knew that he lost. I think he just couldn't accept it. And the more people tried to tell him, including his own kids and including everyone around him, Dad, sorry, you lost this one. He just wasn't man enough to concede. He didn't have the integrity to walk out there and face the nation after losing. Now, when I was born, Jimmy Carter was president. He got voted out that year, and he conceded and went on to be the greatest ex-president we've ever had. I don't think anyone can argue that. Jimmy Carter did more for this country after he was president, and he actually worked harder and did more for the American people than most presidents that came after him. So, I mean, he's definitely the greatest ex-president, but we never saw him kick and scream. We never see him call Ronald Reagan a fake president. We didn't see any of those things. Later on, George H.W. Bush was a one-term president. He lost to Bill Clinton. And while I didn't agree with his politics at all and still don't, he conceded and went on to work alongside of Bill Clinton to make sure that things got done. I mean, they ended up having a weird friendship. I will say that I always found their friendship to be a little bit odd, but they did. They went on to have a friendship. And over the years, I've seen candidates lose and say, that's okay, we will work with the president. Donald Trump just did not have that in him to do. That's not the type of man that he is at all. And I'm going to play this clip because there's some new audio that's leaked of Trump saying out loud, I lost the election. And then he really quickly backtracks and goes back to his talking point. But deep down, he knew, folks. Take a look and you be the judge.
In a brand new tape, never heard before, we're hearing that private admission in the ex-president's own words, on tape. A remarkable slip of the mask, right? Trump's facade made during one of his half-dozen interviews with writer Ramin Sotoudeh, author of a brand new book chronicling Trump's time as host of The Apprentice. We spoke with Ramin on this program yesterday. He told us about this moment. Here is that never-before-heard exchange that came up when Trump was talking about former Fox News commentator Geraldo Rivera. Listen.
What was Geraldo like?
He was good. He did a good job.
Yeah.
He was smart, cunning. He did a good job.
And are you guys still close, or are you no longer?
No, I don't think so. He is. After I lost the election, I won the election, but when they said we won, he called me up 3 or 4 times. I didn't take his call because I was so busy fighting it, you know, with what went on. And we've caught him. I don't know if you see it, but you will. But he called me up 3 or 4 times. And finally I had a little time. I called him back. And he went on Fox and he started talking about the president called.
Now, some might say that was just a slip of the tongue moment, but I really think that he knows he lost because notice how he said, I lost the election, and then real quickly, oh, well, I won the election. They said I lost the election, and then goes on to say, oh, we were fighting it. We were trying so hard to fight it. Yeah, that's what was going on. He was trying to fight it because he just could not bring himself to admit out loud that he lost. But there's another reason why that I've always said he knew he lost the election. I go back to this clip on January 6th when he finally came out to say something after letting his riders just go nuts on the Capitol. When he finally had something to say, he said this, and here is an uncut version of the video where he's saying, I don't want to say it's over. I don't want to say the election is over. Do you guys remember this one?
I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack yesterday, and to those who broke the law, you will pay. You do not represent our movement, you do not represent our country, and if you broke the law, you can't say that. I already said you will pay. The demonstrators who infiltrated the Capitol have defied the seat of justice. It's defiled, right? See, I can't see it very well. Okay, I'll do this. I'm going to do this. Let's go. But this election is now over. Congress has certified the results. I don't want to say the election's over. I just want to say Congress has certified the results without saying the election's over, okay?
But Congress is certified. Now Congress is
Yeah,
over.
right.
Now Congress is
I didn't say over, so let me see. Go to the paragraph before. Okay? I would like to begin by addressing the heinous attack yesterday. Yesterday is a hard word for me.
Just take it out. The heinous attack.
Ah, good. Take the word yesterday, because it doesn't work with the heinous attack on our country. Say on our country. Want to say that?
No, keep it.
My only goal was to ensure the integrity of the vote. My only goal was to ensure the integrity of the vote.
Okay, folks, for once, I'm going to be fair to Donald Trump about one thing, about one part of that. Anytime you see me make a video where I pull up a slide and I read from it, I'll be the first one to admit I have difficulty with that. And there's where I spend the most times doing another take, because I don't have a script in front of me. I'm winging all of this. I just think about what I want to say. I research what I'm going to say. I get my talking points in order. Sometimes I will jot down notes and I'll have like point A, point B, point C that I want to hit on, but I'm not reading from a teleprompter myself. So when all of a sudden I pull up a slide and start reading to you, there's times that I get really tongue-tied, and there's times I can't say certain words. And there's been times I've been making a video and I would get to a certain spot in it, and for whatever reason, a word would just mess with me in that sentence and I would come up with another word to say. So it happens. But I'm just a guy that's sitting here making YouTube videos. This was the president of the United States trying to finally call out the violence that had happened the day before. And he's talking about the election, but he doesn't want to say that it's over. That's why he's so frustrated. And that's why he's so pissed off right there, is because they're making him tell the truth. And he does not want to tell the truth. He's wanting to just stick to his guns and say what he wants to say. And I love how he starts off by saying, you know, those who broke the law, you don't represent our movement. You don't represent who we are. And then he pauses and says, wait, I don't want to say that. I've already said they will pay. I don't want to say that. But my question is, if he's telling them that day that they didn't represent the movement and that wasn't what he was about, why didn't he stick to that? Why didn't he stick to that theme? Why is he out there now calling them patriots and hostages? Why is he out there now allowing them to change the words of the national anthem and standing there saluting it as they sing it? It's some of the most disgusting stuff that we've seen, watching him give these people a pass over and over, saying that if he gets reelected, he's going to pardon all of them. So he definitely didn't stick to that script. He definitely didn't stick to that plan. If that's what he was trying to say on that day, he was lying through his teeth. He didn't mean any of it. And he did not want to say the election is over because he wanted to continue his grift. He wanted to continue this entire mess. And, you know, I've sat and thought about this, folks, from so many different angles over the years. I've often thought, what would have happened if Trump, let's say everything on January 6th still happened the exact same way, but let's say that he had a completely different reaction. Let's say that he would have immediately came out and called out the violence. Let's say if the next day he'd have said, you do not represent our party, and if he'd have stuck with that, and if he would have tried to do damage control ever since that day, if they all tried to distance themselves from it. I'm not saying I would give them a pass for it, and I'm not saying that I would ever consider voting for him again after that bullshit. But I'm just saying what a normal person would have done in that scenario is say, hey, we really screwed up yesterday. We really messed this thing up. So let's try to get back on point here, and let's throw these people under the bus and let's make them pay for the crimes that they've done, because you can't come out and call yourself the rule of law party and say you're going to pardon people who incited a riot on our nation's capital and tried to overthrow an election. But he wanted to stick with his narrative. He wanted to keep pushing his agenda. And unfortunately, he's still out there doing it. He's still out there saying it. And I'm sure he's had many other moments where he gets tongue-tied and has a moment where he slips up and says, I lost the election. But there's an old Lefty Frizzell song, and I know that it's an old song. Most of you probably never heard it. Great country song called I Never Go Around Mirrors. And I love that song because in it he's talking about how he's heartbroken and he doesn't go around mirrors because he doesn't want to see a grown man cry. I wonder if Trump goes around mirrors. I wonder if he actually goes around mirrors and looks in them, because if he did, he has to know the truth. When Donald Trump's sitting there washing his hands in that golden sink at Mar-a-Lago and he looks up and makes eye contact with himself, I wonder how many times he says, just keep saying what you're saying. Just keep spinning it. They'll believe it. They're gullible enough to believe it. Just don't say you lost. Just don't say it. Yeah, I think old Lefty wasn't the only one that went around mirrors. I bet Trump avoids them at all cost.